What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Taco Tundras podcast, your Green Bay Packers podcast, as a proud partner of the Eurostep Podcast Network and the Blue Wire family. As always, I am your host, Numac, coming to with a special guest this week in accordance with every video that I watch in his Twitter feed. Good evening, Dusty Evely. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. It's good to chat with you guys. I'm excited. We were going to try to do this earlier in the season, right? Week one, and then the week got away from me. So excited to catch up during the bye week with a
Yeah,
little more to talk about.
appreciate you.
It was well, especially with the Parsons trade, we are just like, we gotta get people on. Like, let's do it. And then it's like, oh yeah, the season starts like 9 days. Like it was just so like everybody's just like over the moon of like
Everybody.
how that happened.
It was a fast start to the season for sure. It was like, okay, you kind
Yes.
of slog through training camp, go through preseason, and I was listening to the Athletic Football podcast, and they're like, "Yeah, week one's preseason's like so great. You're so excited for football. It's like okay, weeks 2 and 3, like okay, I'm ready for like real football." And then you
hmm
have that extended gap where like it's just quiet until like a Parsons trade explodes, and then it's full force, ready to have the
Well, and
season
that
start.
stuff too is also like as soon as the Parsons trade happens, like after you're kind of like, am I getting punked right now? Is this real?
Right.
Was it very much like a all these conversations I've had for the past 2 months are useless because so much was like, well, if LVN takes a jump and maybe that pass rush will be good, like those conversations don't mean anything. Just throw all that out the window.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, Lucas Van Ness needs to be pass rush number 2 and effectively
Yeah,
so for them to do anything of significance in the postseason. It's like, oh, now he can rush the
yeah.
passer like every other series, and we
Oh,
should be
that
just
doesn't
fine.
matter.
Yeah.
None of those conversations. Okay, cool. All right, moving on. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So, like I said, we're just gonna go through the Packers season thus far, 4 weeks. A weirdly disappointing 2-1-1. Like Jordan and I, when we did our preseason predictions, and even back in May when the schedule was released, I was hesitant to be like they could be 2-2, they could be 1-3 if everything goes poorly. Back when they didn't have Micah Parsons,
Yeah.
and so like going back from there, I'm happy that they won two. They didn't win the two I thought they'd win, but we're 2-2 and we're two one and
Yep.
one now. So it's like I guess sure. So I guess for you, what has been your biggest impression through the first 4 games of this season, knowing the highs of beating two playoff contenders, and then the lows of losing to the Browns and subsequently tying the Cowboys?
Yeah, I feel like I know less than I did before the season started. I mean, why very much. I mean, I'm with you. I very much. You look at the schedule and like, all right, if they come out of the gate a little slow and the Lions have had their number, if they lose that game to the Lions, like they split. I was saying if they split Commanders Lions and then maybe they lose the Cowboys. So I was thinking 2-2, which
Right.
2-1-1 is better than 2-2 mathematically speaking.
True.
So like
True.
I should feel better, but you go through the games. How does that happen? I mean, they blow the doors off of both those first two
Right.
teams. That Browns game, dude, we were in the third quarter of the Browns game, and I was like, I was, I said it to myself because I was watching that game by myself, and I was like, never has a 3-0 lead felt so insurmountable. And then jokes on you, buddy. I probably shouldn't have said that. That was my fault. Uh, and I mean, they lose that game, and like, okay, that's fluky. Like the defense still looked really good, but like we knew the offensive line had problems. We knew, and going into that game was like, if this game is going to be a problem, it's going to be Miles Garrett, and that front's going to just destroy people. And Miles Garrett in the front destroyed people. So like, that's one of those like, okay, yeah, they shouldn't have lost to the Browns. That's a little embarrassing, but they're 2-1. They lost in a way I thought they were going to lose. They didn't get any turnovers. You were hoping they were going to get some turnovers. That didn't end up happening. Then they got that Cowboys game and like, okay, go on the Cowboys game. We know the defense is shut down. Like we know the defense is shut down. If the offense can get on track, and then the offense gets on track, and the defense gets them 40 points. Like, so I do think ultimately I think the defense is good. I think Halfley should have adjusted in that game and did not. I think there are certain things they probably could have gone to that either they were kind of scared to go to or something. I mean, the way they played was we think the pass rush is going to get there before Dak can kill us. And then Dak had an all-timer of a game and killed them. And I think there was no adjustment made on the defensive side. And that stinks. I do think the defense will be fine. Like ultimately, I think that'll be fine. It's the offensive line. Will the offensive line be good enough? And even then, like there's signs of life. Kennard played pretty well, I thought. Passing game looked better than it had all season. So I mean, I go into the bye thinking, all right, dude, if they get healthy, they'll be fine. So taking stock of the season so far, I think the Cowboys game was somewhat of a blip, like somewhat of a blip in terms of like how they looked. I think the defense will be fine. I think the offense will be generally okay. I'm concerned about the run game, especially with the offensive line. I'm concerned about the run game. But I think the pass game will be fine. Hopefully Watson will be back. I like what we've seen out of Gold and all that stuff. So I think they're a good team. Just not the world beaters I kind of thought they were going to be. I mean, coming off that Thursday night win, man, I was getting real
We
irrational
were
with it
we were
and then
all
brought down a
flying
little
high.
bit.
Yeah,
There were some great takes
exactly.
being thrown out there.
Yeah, I was trying to be quiet about it because I was very much like I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm defeated because that's hard,
That's
but
hard.
man, I
Yeah.
don't know. 15-2 certainly on the table.
I feel like the way I come out of these first four games, I have this in my brain because I went golfing on Monday. I feel like the Packers are my golf game. Nothing ever works all together all at once. Like the offense works sometimes, and then the defense falls apart. Defense and offense both play pretty well. Special teams can't get it together. Like nothing ever works all at once, and that's kind of
Yeah,
the madness that we felt through these first 4 weeks. That like week one, they kind of all put it together at least for 2 quarters in the first half.
yep.
Offense kind of
Yeah,
spun its tires in the second half, but that's what that looks like. And if that's what they can look like when it matters, watch out. But I'm with you that it's just like I was after
I
the
mean,
Commanders when I was
well, even that
flying
Cowboys
high.
game was like it wasn't even like one aspect of the special teams. Like you had the block kick, you had the
Yep,
near block kick before the block kick, and then when they needed like we got to stop them, they're giving up like 35-yard returns like it was
yeah,
against
nothing, dude. Like
nothing.
it was every aspect of it. It's ridiculous.
Um, yeah, the special teams stuff is a hot button topic in Packers fan right now to keep it lightly.
Not happy.
Not
it's
happy.
alarming.
It's a
It's very alarming.
yeah. It's we'll leave it at that. I don't want to get into that
Yeah,
discussion.
yeah.
um,
Um,
go ahead, Jordan.
I would ask. I mean, we're kind of floating all over the place, but I think one of the biggest things that we were going into the year, pre and post Parsons trade, was like this team is going to be carried by Jordan Love, and it's the difference of we know injuries derailed last year, but we saw what he looked like by the end of 23, like
Yep.
down the stretch, going in the playoffs. I feel like he's been there. Like the Cowboys game, you could really say that he kind of kept him in it. Like there's a reason why they tied that game, but I think a lot of it just came on his shoulders. What have you thought of his season so far?
I thought he's been great. I mean, a couple head scratching plays every single week. Yeah, the one this past week that I'm shocked the clock didn't hit zeros at the end. But even then,
Yeah,
like I like if they're gonna go for it, I like that he went for it. He made a quick decision. There was times on that play that like he could have worked back. He could have worked back underneath, but he had in his mind, listen, we're gonna get this off, and this is first read or it's nothing. He just chucked that ball, and that's what gave him a chance. So even that wasn't bad. The Browns won. The Browns interception was bad. And I think there are reasons for that, but that was a bad decision. He had a couple weird ones in the Lions games that he got away with. But like outside of, I mean, 4 plays, we're talking about 4 plays over like 4 games or something like that. I thought he played really well. He's getting rid of the ball better. He's scrambling more, which is something that
Yes.
we thought he would, I think was going to do last year, and then he got injured. But that's one of my biggest complaints with Love has just been, does he know when to give up on a play? Like whether that's scrambling, whether that's throwing the ball away. I mean, sitting through the Aaron Rodgers era, like
yeah.
to his own detriment, sometimes that man threw the ball away. Like some years was like every other play seemed like he was thrown away. It's like, well, Love could use a little bit more of that, but not to that extent. He's been doing that a little more. Like he's not trying to force the ball in the middle of the field when he's rolling out. He's picking his spots. He's scrambling when he needs to. He's throwing the ball away, and I mean that's elevated his game quite a bit. I think the accuracy's been good. I mean, little spotty at times. He missed a throw to Dobbs, 2 throws to Dobbs this past week. He had one like on second or third
It
down. That
was
was like
a low, like kind of
it,
low ball, right?
it was like low on a deep curl,
Yeah.
but then he hit
Yeah.
that same one to Golden, and I was just like just slightly elevated a little bit because he doesn't want to put the guy in harm's way. You want to be able to get down, and he just put that up a little bit. So he hit the exact same throw to Golden a little later. So like he'll miss, he'll spray occasionally, but like every quarter, like Dak missed a couple throws, like every quarterback does that. I think his progression's been good. I think his footwork's been good. Him reading everything out has been really good. His control of the offense has been good. I mean, you don't know where to put the blame on some of the end of the Cowboys stuff. I know LaFleur has a habit of putting that stuff on himself. Like he likes to protect his guys. Whose fault that is really, I don't know. But the tempo in some of those situations is a little more deliberate. I'll be nice and say deliberate than I feel like it needs to be. And that's been a pattern with him. And so that's like the next thing, I guess, is when you get into those 2 minute can you get up to the line and snap that ball within 10 seconds? Like, is that something that is in your back pocket? We know he can do it. Can he do it consistently? But I mean, aside from that, and that's the first thing on my brain because that game, was the most recent game. I thought he's played really well. I've really liked his decision making. I think ball placement's been good. Big fan, big fan of what he's shown this year. I think his completion percentage is up in the 70s,
I
maybe
was gonna
high
say
60s or something.
it's definitely highest it's been probably as a starter.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I think he's been like living around 63 or something. I think he's been higher than that this year. He's been really good.
Yeah.
The Jordan Love discussion amongst fans has been overblown. Like I think they're winning because he's playing so well and he is making better decisions. I think he's a victim, and I'm definitely guilty of this too. The mistakes are just like, oh my god, what are you doing? And if they were better, like I don't even think the Browns interception was horrible because that was just a great play by the DB to jump that route. But it's just like, and our listeners are gonna pull their hair out because I talk about it like every other episode now. The Rams interception last year is my go-to. This is like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? And that's the worst one. That's the one that goes on the mantle of like we don't do this anymore.
And diving out the back of the end zone and just
Exactly,
chucking.
exactly.
It's oh yeah.
And so like
You
those,
yeah.
we're talking about four plays, but it's unfortunately the four plays that stick out the most because we were blessed with 15 plus years of a guy that never made decisions like that. And so all of us fans got accustomed to this is what good quarterback play looks like, when instead, this is what elite quarterback play looks like. Where those,
Well, I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, just the accuracy on the downfield stuff, the decision making, it really is. I mean, he's I don't know, 85% Rogers, 20% Favre in terms of the decision making. Like there's once or twice a game where it's just like I can do this.
they're on
I
each
know I can do
shoulder.
this.
Each of them
Yeah.
are on each shoulder. It's
Little
crazy.
angel and little devil. It's exactly what it is, man.
He's
Like
right in
it's
the middle.
well, and the funny thing, I mean, this is I watch a lot of football across the league, and like so I'm a homer. Like I fully admit that I'm a homer. But like if you watch quarterback play across the league, you can watch quarterback play from across the league, and if you watch quarterback play from across the league and say there's 10 quarterbacks better than Jordan Love, like you're not watching quarterback play across the league. Like I'm sorry, like it's not it's in a decent state right now, I think league wide, but like if you want to talk about inconsistent, like Love is not inconsistent compared to a lot of the guys that are playing right now.
No, I think I honestly, not to keep referring back to the Cowboys, but like Dak Prescott is kind of the perfect example of like because he plays for the Cowboys, because it's Dallas, and that means something bigger than just him. He's always had that rep of like he's never like the year that the Packers beat the Cowboys in the playoffs a couple years ago. Dak Prescott finished second in MVP voting,
Hmm.
and it was like because he had a great year. Like he can be that level. Like the fact that he had a game on Sunday and he's throwing it to a Jalen Tolbert or
Devontae Turpin.
yeah, Turpin. Obviously George Pickens will be coming
What's
out.
the guy's name? Flournoy or something?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I was like,
Yeah.
who the
I
hell
had
is this
never
dude?
heard of
Like,
that
where did he
man.
come from? But he's like like that. I can remember him doing that. It's like, but he still has this like he's not a Mahomes like you mentioned. We're grading on such a high curve with a Mahomes, Jackson, Josh
Well,
Allen,
he's coming off
obviously.
the back of Rodgers, who
Right.
was like
Yes.
historically one of the most accurate, one of the quarterbacks who threw the least amount of interceptions
Yeah.
per attempt in league history. Like we're going from that to a guy who like does that slightly more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not even that bad.
there's such a different entry level too, where like when Rodgers was coming in, like we see how offenses really opened up and started, like him asserting himself as a starting level quarterback, and beyond that, the league was changing in how passing offenses were being designed, and now we're at this kind of I don't know what era we want to call it, but see all these kind of young quarterbacks. I'm like even watching Bears games and seeing Caleb Williams, kind of like you think he's figuring it out, but he's also playing it's like a Raiders, and it's like he's not there, but you kind of see where it's going. It's like we're just so like 15 years of like grading people at this level, and it's like it's really hard to get to that level consistently and stay there.
And well, and we're also at a point too, just league wide, that it is more like early 90s football than even football like 5 years ago, where it's
Yeah.
more run. And then
Yes.
if you are doing more run, just the way the defenses are, your quarterback is getting fewer attempts. But like typically, I think attempts, I can't remember where they are, like, but I think they had been going down going into this year over the past few years. I can't remember what that trend is now, but so you have fewer attempts. You're either checking the ball down because everyone's playing too high on you,
Right.
or you're trying to hit these big explosives. So you're going to get like the dumb plays look worse because you're throwing fewer times. And like
Hmm.
so much of it
Yeah.
is like, oh, you're a check down merchant. You're throwing like 5 yards down the field. Nothing else is there, brother. Like I was talking, I made this point I think last week where the throw chart, I guess it wasn't last week. The throw chart for this season and the Cowboys game, there's a there's nothing in the middle of the field.
No.
Like they're not attacking the intermediate middle of the field. And my point was they were like, well, they're not, the floor is not drawing that up. Like that's not true. Linebackers, especially the way they're playing play action now, they're getting depth on all that stuff. And so
Yep.
you're throwing outside shots, you're throwing over the top of them, or you're checking down underneath. Like they're taking away over the past 3 years. Defenses are trying to take away the middle of the field. So it's not that that stuff isn't there. It's that those lanes are jammed and it's better to throw somewhere else. And then you start throwing outside the numbers, and those are harder throws to make. And then I mean, it's just fewer attempts. The middle of the field, which has been like a cheat code over the past 5 years,
Hmm.
is not really available in the way it had been. So you're chucking outside, and now the ball's up for grabs a little more. Like, yeah, it's going to look a little worse sometimes. The worst throws are going to look worse. But on the whole, I think, yeah, I thought going back, I guess, on the whole, I think Love's looked really, really good.
You had mentioned his footwork, and this is something that I harp on, and I'm not like a huge X's and O's guy, but I watch him throw, and it was the fourth down throw to Golden that you had referenced earlier that he nailed him on a nice low throw that he had
Yep.
improved upon.
Yep.
Drop back, puts his back foot in the ground and fires it. It's like that what I should expect to see from Jordan Love throughout the game because he sits and he's a pocket passer and he bounces around and he makes great throws like again for all fans of Jordan Love here. But when he looks like that where he takes his drop, puts his back foot in the ground and fires, it just looks so good. And I haven't seen him throw a pass like that and end poorly. Like it's almost always a catch for a big gain or uh, a rifle for a touchdown or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of footwork, I think of like, is it tied to the concept? I think like the science of what guys do and how they throw is I think we know more now than we did 10 years ago in terms of like where you generate where you generate torque and everything because it always had been. I mean, like Peyton Manning was a guy who was like he had those little baby steps in the pocket, but when he set, like the base was always consistent, the hand was always consistent, like the throwing motion was always consistent. Brady was a stickler for that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like he every offseason he just drilled that into his head because he was somewhat athletically not gifted, and so like he had to be consistent. It's like a golf swing. I mean, it is
Yeah.
very much like this has to be the same every time because I can't do it any other way. Like the
Right.
base has to be good. So many guys don't throw that way and like because they don't have to. I mean, Roger started doing all like the torque with the hip stuff, and so many guys started doing that stuff. So when I think of footwork, I always think of like in the drop back progression, are your feet tied to the concept? If it's going 3 step to one side, 5 step to the other, 5 to 7, whatever it is, are you in a place where wherever you are, when you're hit the top of that, if that's the decision you're going to make, are you in a position to throw or are your feet pointed elsewhere?
Okay.
And if that's cool, like I'm generally cool. There are times like it's probably better if you can set with the same base, consistent base every time and throw, like probably, but not every guy operates like that. Like if you're going, I will say, if you're going 3 step and throwing the first time, yeah, that probably should stick your foot in, drive on that. But pockets are so weird and pockets can get so messy that if, as long for me, and this is probably not the right way to look at it, but as long as the feet are tied to the progression, and what you're trying to accomplish in the passing game, the base doesn't matter quite as much because each guy is a little different. Now, if there's inconsistency there and he's throwing off his back foot and he's missing throws, that probably needs to be drilled in a little bit. But if he's generally fine and every now and then misses one, like I'm less concerned with that. But maybe that's just I think part of it is I'm not super well versed in quarterback mechanics either. So if most of the time it works, I'm like, well, that's probably fine. If for me, it's more like for conceptually speaking, is he in a position to throw like that? That's a bigger thing as far as the stuff I'm looking at.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sort of moving away from Jordan Love of it all, who has stood out on the tape for you the most? I guess who has impressed you looking back at like the L-22 and just looking at games? What players has stood out the most for you this year so far?
Oh man, I mean, I spent a lot of time offensively for the most part. I do spend a decent amount of time on the defense, but offensively, I mean, I've really liked what Golden's shown. Like the numbers aren't there. He had the catch this past week that was like he was not supposed to be there.
I
Like
was gonna say I'm
he,
almost certain
he
that was
was
a Dontayvion Wicks like 50-yard
no.
touchdown.
No, he was not supposed to be there at all. Like he absolutely misran that route. Like there's not a world where he's supposed to be in that. There's a world where Wicks is actually supposed to curl off of that, I think, depending on what it was. That's not the way that looked. Like he was not supposed to be there. So you have like these weird rookie moments like that. And like the one was at the Browns game where he caught the one and then like 15 yards
Oh,
from the sideline. He just kept like fading to the sideline.
Yeah.
Been
Yeah.
there's been those moments, man, like a couple of those moments. But as far as like what he's been doing, like the route running has been really good, like crisp. He generally is where he's supposed to be. They're asking him to do and he's an undersized guy, but they're asking him to do like insert blocker stuff, which is like you got the tight end of the tackle where the tight end's attached in line, and they motion the wide receiver underneath, and he's between like underneath the tackle, between the tackle and the tight end. And they usually do that for a lot of blocking stuff. They have him doing that, and like he's getting pushed around because he's going up against like linebackers, like firing down the hole against him. But he's also turning some guys away. He had one in the Browns game off of that where they released him through that gap on a corner. And if Love had a little more time, he hits him instead of like a check down to Kraft and goes for 8 yards or something like that. But I think for as my concern with Golden when they got him was body wise, he's a lot like Reed. And when Reed was out there, they didn't have Reed out for like the two tight end packages. It was just Reed was on the bench for all the 12 personnel stuff. They've got Golden out there for the 12 stuff. Like whether it's run or pass, like he's out there. He's not, they trust him. I think they trust him enough to block. He is not a great blocker, but he gives effort and he's where he's supposed to be. And for a first round wide receiver that size, that's been really impressive. And his route running, aside from stealing a ball from Wicks, has generally been good. And so to me, that seems like they trust him and they're looking for ways to get him on the field a whole bunch. And so far, I think he has shown that he's up for the challenge. So I've been a big fan of so far of what Golden has shown. Again, numbers have not been there. It feels like that's coming. I was hoping the Cowboys game was
I
going to be
was
a big
also hoping it
breakout.
was going to be the Cowboys game.
He started him in fantasy that week and everything. I was like, this is it,
So
brother.
did I.
This is like, it's coming. He'll have a big game. But I mean,
Yeah.
the Packers are not set up to really like. I think he tied Dobbs for second most receiving yards. They both had 58 yards receiving. Josh Jacobs had 71. And so
Yeah.
like he's been getting targets. He's been on the field. He'll get his chances, but I've been so impressed with him so far.
I desperately need him to stop returning punts. They're gonna get him killed.
He's gonna get himself killed. He's
Yeah.
spinning. Why is he spinning so much?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like they need to figure out we're not gonna talk about punt returners, but they need to figure it out because it can't be Matthew Golden.
It'd be nice if it was
No.
Savion Williams. I don't know if they trust his hands, but it'd be nice if Williams could do it, man.
That's what I've
That
been
is
saying.
that is the weird thing is like you have him out there for kicks, and I get it. Like he's
It's a different
returning with
rotation and like it's a
different
whole.
rotations. Guys are 20 yards away, so like you can. But it is something different. When they threw out Romeo down there, I was like,
What are we doing?
what? I was like, okay, we're really going for
They're
it.
trying
Like
everything, man. They're trying everything.
They
I
can't.
feel like the special teams conversation is such like a third rail topic that we're just like, okay, our hand is now off of it.
God.
Man, back in the day, used to have Najee Davenport and Tony Fisher returning kicks, man. Let's get that
Oh
to that,
yeah,
brother. Let's get
oh
Emmanuel
yeah.
Wilson out there returning kicks. Let's see what we can do.
I am the
No,
Emmanuel
that's not a
Wilson.
bad option though.
I know.
He's good. Like that makes sense.
Uh, I am the
Oh
Emmanuel
man.
Wilson stan. I was on his train from his rookie year during training camp, and so
I am
anytime.
lost. I am so lost with the number change, man.
Me
Like
too.
It
he
is
runs, and I'm
throwing me
like,
off.
I thought it was Israel Bonaconda, and I was like, is
Yep.
So did
Bonaconda in the game?
I. Yeah, I think it was like the last play, one of like the last drives in the Lions game. I'm like, who is in at running back? I was like, they say it's Emmanuel. I'm like, when did that happen?
Just
Yeah.
I keep forgetting. I guess like Bonaconda was out the building, and he was like, "That's mine.
That's
23 is
mine.
mine." I keep forgetting that it's him. He looks. It's a aesthetic thing or something. He looks thinner. He was always like a wide body, like a Dorsey
Yeah.
Evans
Yes.
looking back, and he looks thinner in the 23. Like the body looks different, which is very strange. That's what's throwing me off so
You're
much.
you're speaking Jordan's language, talking about all these running backs from early
I
2000s.
love it. Actually, I have a Dorsey Levens story.
Let's go.
Go
I
for it.
I I can't remember if this is during training camp, but we were staying in Green Bay. It must have been before. Yeah, it had to been a training camp thing. And it was like the Best Western right by like Don Hudson Center.
Sure, sure,
So
sure.
so people know like where this is.
It-
For some
the-
reason, Dorsey Levens was in the pool when my brother and I were swimming. I'm like 4, 5. And I was like, that's Dorsey Levens. Like being a little kid, I'm like, I don't know. He was with someone else, and I was like, "You're Dorsey Levens," and he was like, "Yeah, I am." And it was, I don't think, knowing what I know now, I don't think it was the time to be like, "Hey, Dorsey, how you doing?" Like, it's little kid. But yeah, very weird interaction that my brother will repeatedly be like, "Remember when Dorsey Levens was in that pool they were in Green Bay?" It's like,
It's so
"Yep,
weird.
yeah, that was a Madden cover athlete right there."
That is
One
so
of my
funny.
favorite touchdowns of all time was the his receiving touchdown against the Panthers '96 championship game. That
Oh yeah.
vertical route just jamming his heel on the ground, man. Thing of beauty. Sorry, I got off track. Thing of beauty.
No, that is just fine. Like I said, you're speaking Jordan's language. Jordan has a knack for naming guys that I probably should remember. I born in '95, like I should kind of remember, and he'll be like, "Remember this guy from the mid '80s?" No,
I
like
wasn't even born,
he
but
wasn't
I'm like,
born, but he knows
there's
the.
like institutional knowledge that like just gets
Hmm.
handed down generation after generation. Like Lynn Dickey, he's the guy just had a
Yep.
cannon.
No, I
Yep.
know Linda.
No
No.
knees, but a cannon.
Yeah. John Hadel, they should never have traded that first round pick for him.
Okay, Lynn Dickey, I knew. Whoever that guy was, not a clue.
It would not have been a transaction that I think we would have celebrated. We'd be like, what the hell are you doing?
um, Conversely, Dusty, who has been flying under the radar for you? Someone that you think that deserves a little more credit, um, to the team's success thus far. It could be or a play, any sort of specific player, stuff like that.
I will say, and I mean, I think he's probably gotten his flowers. So I don't. Man, I'm so like deep in like Packers roster and Packers conversation, all that. Like, I have no idea who's under or over the radar. I will just say, his name was thrown out there after week one. I think just got a surprise, but man, so impressed with Colby Wooden. Like, so impressed with Colby. He was a guy like when we were I always make. I never put it out there because I don't want to be judged for it, but I always make like a preliminary 53, just so like when I'm looking at like the team, who do I think? Because I'm like, well, they should keep this guy, they should keep this guy. And then if I write it all down, like, well, that's 70 guys. They can't do this. So like just to level set myself, I had Kobe Wooden outside looking in. And that's just like I thought Brooks had shown more pop, throughout his career. Wooden kind of pushed around a little bit. I didn't know if there's a spot for him on the defensive line. At that point, Stackhouse was getting a lot of good buzz, and Brinson was getting some buzz as well. And then Wooden shows up looking bigger than he has in his career and just a dog on the defensive line, man. Like an immovable object. Like he's not what Slayton was. Like Slayton was because of his own little special
Right.
immovable guy, but he is way better this year than he ever has been at any point in his career. And he bulked up. He looks like he's smarter. Like he looks like he knows where he's supposed to be a little more. Some of the run defense stuff, like that's Wooden just eating blockers. He went from a guy who again was kind of a second thought. Like I always like, well, Carl Brooks has had some good moments. I always kind of forget Kobe Wooden existed sometimes because like he
Hmm.
just didn't do much. He was kind of small. He got washed out quite a bit. He's been he's been so good. Like that defensive line would not be nearly as good as it has been this year if not for Wooden. Like I don't know. He probably has like 3 tackles on the season or something. Like he's no stats to speak of whatsoever. But I thought he's been tremendous in the line.
I
I think too, was it, forget which game it was. It might have been the Commanders game. We do like our cheeses. It's like kind of our game balls, and we're kind of like looking at, and it's the defense. Like who can't we give it to at a certain point?
Yeah.
And I think it was that game. His game was just like, I totally agree with you. Like he just kind of like he just feels like a different player. Like he's making impact plays. I think to your point, like I've always leaned Carl Brooks a little higher or rated him higher because he's made more splash plays.
Yeah.
But it's also like same draft class. Like there's like this kind of like big brother, little brother kind of like thing like that you kind of just put on him for not for anything that he's done, but like it does feel so 9 day for him to go into year three, playing essentially like a new position and being a different like just showing what we had kind of always wanted to see next to Kenny Clark. And
Hmm.
the fact that he's not there, it's like Colby Wooden's kind of helping that kind of seamlessly come into, a defensive line that obviously is aided by Micah Parsons. But yeah, it has been really nice seeing him pop the way
I
that
mean,
he has.
there's times I would check I was like watching, going like having to double check the number. Like, who was that just did that? And I was like, oh, that
yeah.
was Colby Wooden. It was
Yeah.
so many times throughout the game. Like, oh, that was Colby Wooden doing that stuff. Like,
Hmm.
it's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was either mini camp or early training camp where they had. I think it would have been Robin Bosky showed a retweeted video about the other guys that weren't Kenny Clark taking nose tackle snaps. I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. If like Wooden and Brooks and Wyatt can really step up and be the nose tackle behind Kenny Clark if he needs a rest or whatever it
Hmm.
may be. That kind of speaks volumes to where they were
Yeah.
kind of thinking of what they were going to do with these guys going into the season, and especially so now that they got Micah Parsons.
Oh,
And
100%.
I think it's been a real, like you said, a really good development to see. I mean, honestly, all three of those guys stand out uh and be such valuable pieces to this defensive line. And I guess
Yeah.
we'll skip the Micah Parsons one for now, but we'll talk about him in a minute. Devontae Wyatt goes down on Sunday, and he's been again, he's another one of my guys. Like I really liked him coming out of the draft. Um, he's week to week, but he has been so important for this defensive line. I guess, do you think it can withstand his absence? I guess maybe so, considering how you're talking about Colby Wooden. But do you think the D line can withstand his absence if it is, we'll say, 3 games if he's out a month with his knee injury?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of the offensive line stuff. Like I theoretically, yes, but the depth behind that, like it starts, those dominoes start to fall, man, and like
It's
suddenly it's
so
like
thin,
Stackhouse is out there getting quite a bit. Like, yeah,
right?
that's like I think the top line, like if it's just like, well, Van Ness, you can kick him inside, like he's been playing really strong this year, and so he can handle some of that stuff. Give someone a breather. You got. Brooks has looked pretty good. Like you've got some bodies you can throw at it, but then you start getting like Stackhouse real reps. I don't think Brinson's been activated yet, but like activating
Yeah.
Brinson, like it starts getting thin. Like against like out of the bye against the Bengals, yeah, I think they'll be fine. Like I don't have any concerns about the Bengals, but like for the rest of the season, yeah, and that is, I mean, he's made splash plays. He's also just been a rock in the middle of that defense. Like he's been better against the run than
Mm-hmm.
again like, than he ever had been throughout his
Uh-huh.
career. And part of
Hmm.
that is maybe might be feeling it out a little bit more, might be Covington. Covington coming in the way he's been coaching. Like all those guys have looked really good. So I do think if he is missing extended time, yeah, that's an issue. Like not only just because of the top level play, but because again, we're trotting out Stackhouse out here for like 40% of snaps now. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's very like he's a big guy who gets moved a lot. Like he doesn't give a whole lot to offer at this point. So yeah, I think that's gonna be a real issue if that continues like throughout the season.
It makes me nervous for sure for the sole purpose of like you said, he wasn't so good against the run in his first 3 years, and now, like you said, I think it is the coaching change that he's just
Yeah.
been a stud in the middle. And the biggest knock against him, I guess, in my mind, his first few years was he never finished plays, and now through these first 3.5 games, he's finishing plays, he's getting in the backfield, and I think he missed like 1 sack against the Commanders. But other than that, he's been around. You notice him more. He kind of
Yeah, he's
this
been like a major disruptor on
yeah,
that defensive
he got
line.
washed
Yes.
out so much in his first 3 years. He's like, okay, he'll figure it out. He'll figure it out. He had his own injury last year that kind of halted his
Yep.
momentum, and then he came in this year, first 3 games playing so well, gets injured again. It's like you really want this guy. It's a lot like not dissimilar from Christian Watson. You just want him to be
Mhm.
healthy so you can show what he can do because when he's healthy and he's playing well, holy moly, he jumps off the screen.
Well, and this year especially, I mean, like even the past years was like if he's out there for rundowns, it's probably not going to go very well. Like
Right.
the pass rush stuff was real. Like he'd give you some pass rush, but this year he's been so much better against the run too. Like he's just been just a monster on that side of the line, like owning his spot. That like if this was last year and like oh Devontae Wyatt, like given the state of the current line right now, if Wyatt was playing like he was last year, like can they withstand him? Yeah, yeah, they probably could withstand the loss a little more, just because maybe they would have accounted for that or something. But he also was not a difference maker in the run game. Well, he's been so good against the run this year that like that just creates a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Also puts more pressure on Quay and Edrin Cooper to really nail their assignments in the run game, and I think that kind of got exposed a little bit in the second half of Sunday's game.
Yeah, they're not kept as clean. Yeah, Edge Cooper missed a couple tackles.
Oh, the
Not
the
not
one in
not
the
the
in
prettiest
the
game.
backfield was that wasn't good.
Which he'll miss some. That's the thing. Like with
Yeah.
Quay, and he missed one week one, I remember, but like he just got there so fast and blew it up that other people cleaned up. Like that was, I think Quay's thing, he's always going to play a little bit reckless. Like he's always going to miss some tackles, but he's just going to ram his head into something and then he creates problems and then other people help clean it up. Like I think that's part of Edge Cooper's deal. That's one of the benefits he gives, but if there's got not guys to be there, which again, like the lanes are a little muddier if some of those guys up front are clearing that out and he misses a tackle, it's a bigger deal than it would have been if those lanes are a little clearer up front.
Right. All right. We went long enough without talking about him.
Yeah, I think we gotta do
Micah
Parsons. We
Micah
gotta do Parsons.
Parsons.
Let's
To
go.
talk about him, how do you rate his addition to the defense? I guess what has been your favorite part about watching him?
Just watching him, man. Just watching him. Like he is so I knew because I'd watched the Cowboys. Like I'd watch the Cowboys. I try to look to see what other like offenses, defenses around the league are doing if/slash when I have time. You just watch him and like he moves different. He's not like Miles Garrett is like a big imposing guy. And the way he moves is
Right.
like that should be illegal. There should not be dudes like that. Parsons moves in a different way because he's smaller. He's smaller, but he's so strong and
It's
he's so
crazy.
fast. And he does not have like he doesn't have the deepest bag of pass rush moves. He just wins, man. Like
He just
he'll
wins.
he'll go with his hands. He's so fast. Like his little dip around the edge is insane. And then if you wide kick even a little bit, he's running through your chest or he's getting inside. That little like he'll go outside and they'll wide kick slightly too wide, and then he's on the inside shoulder before you can blink. Like doing that with good tackles on guards, on centers. We haven't seen it too much with the centers yet. I don't know, they've not worked a lot of that stuff in yet. But
Mm.
watching some of his other Cowboy stuff, he's crossing a center's face before the center's out of his stance. Like his get off is so fast. He's such a smart player. He's like there's such a violence in everything he does that I love. That was like Prime Clay was just like everything he
Yeah.
did, he looked like he was trying to rip your face off. And
Yeah.
that's Parsons will do that. Parsons a little colder about it. Like Clay was a little more frantic in his movements. Mike is just so much more like compact in everything he does. So just watching him, I mean, I like to watch usually what I do for the offense when I'm done when the game's done, next day, I'll go like passing game. I'll watch what they do in the passing game, get all this stuff charted, how they do, how the overall offense do. And then before I hit anything on the defense, I just pull up all of Micah Parsons snaps and I just watch Micah Parsons and go, all right, man, what did Micah do today? And it's been 4 games of that. It's the highlight of my week is what did Micah do today? And at least like once or twice every week, I'm like, oh, I didn't notice that in the game, but he beat that man clean and like nearly took someone's head off. It's been
Hmm.
just such a delight. And like he's just what he's done for and again, some of that's Covington. I think what he's done for God like LVN, what LVN has done,
Oh,
what he's done for like Gary had, I think it was that Lions game. Gary had a sack that was like speed to power. He long armed a guy and ran through his chest because he got like one on one. You're like, he wasn't getting those, man. He wasn't getting those. So just
Yeah.
what he's done with the linebackers as well, like everyone's flowing faster to the ball because they know they can. Like Keyshawn Nixon, if you told me last year Keyshawn Nixon had a game with 5 PBUs, I would have told you you were a liar. Like there's the fact that these guys, everyone's playing faster, everyone's playing more aggressive. In part, I think because of him. I think in part because of I think what Halfway's done with his defense and some of the teaching and then the second year and all that stuff. But knowing they have Parsons there that can win so quickly any given down, I think it's just transformed kind of the way this defense operates. And it's just been so much. It's been so. I loved watching this defense last year. I hated watching Joe Barry.
oh my God.
I think I said something about this a few weeks ago, but like I used to write a column weekly called My Favorite Pressure when Pettin was there because every week, no matter what Pettin did, he would draw up like a really cool blitz, at least one really cool blitz every single week that he'd have like a 3-man pressure. He's dropping guys from weird angles. He's getting a free runner. It was so cool. And I wrote that for 3 weeks into Joe Barry's career, and he didn't do anything. So I had to stop. I had to stop because there was nothing. Like he never did it. So the entire so
That's
that
so
that
funny.
column got sunsetted because I couldn't do it
Yeah.
anymore because Barry was boring. And now it's just like, oh, all this is back on the table last year. Now you had Micah Parsons. It's
Yeah.
I cannot overstate how much fun it has been watching this defense and watching Parsons on a week-to-week basis. It's been amazing.
We talked about
Well, I
it during.
think
Go ahead, Jordan. Sorry.
I was gonna say like I think to that point, it's like we saw like I feel like last year's defense is kind of like split in two, where it's like we rode the Lightning with Xavier McKinney, just like what, how many straight games? Like
Like
five
Was it
straight games.
five.
five?
Like
I think he went five, yeah.
Yeah.
so, it's like it's built on turnovers. Like they were still letting up a lot of yards. Like obviously that was aided by like how the season started with the Eagles game and yada yada yada. But then with the foundation of the defense, like back half of the year, because Edgerrin Cooper came on, Quay Walker when he was healthy, like that's where I was like, we're starting to see everything come together. And then I was already bullish on the defense, but it was always going to be about can this take, a top 5 elite level? Like they were in that, I would say, discussion last year. But it is just crazy to think like they are doing that Sunday night with notwithstanding, and they're doing that with Micah Parsons, and it's like you mentioned, like he just plays with the violence. Like I think that really came across on against Dallas, as weird as that kind of sounds, because things are breaking down because they're giving up big plays, they're doing things that they don't normally do, and yet you watch him pressure and get after Dak as that game went along. Like any stop that they had was because he was on the field and getting after him. Like he saved the game essentially
Yep.
from being a loss. But it is just kind of so interesting to see talent meet structure and scheme kind of just marry like seamlessly. It feels like
And it's
Yeah,
only
and that
been a
was
month.
yeah,
no,
it's been a
yeah.
month.
Well, the thing I was most excited about him was like Halfley. So Halfley came in as a guy who like wanted to win with four. He wanted to win with four. He wanted to play a lot of like single high. He played some split coverage stuff in Boston College, but like he wanted to win with four up front. And he got like 4 games in last year. And he's like, well, I can't do this. So like all the sim pressure stuff that he started doing, like he leaned into that, dialed up some really, really cool stuff. So then like you got this Halfley who the back half of last year was like the sim pressure guy, and everything's like trying to create pressure from weird angles. And you got Edge Cooper coming in, and now you got Micah Parsons. Like if Micah Parsons had come in last year, I don't know that we see this version of Halfley, because I think he would have been like, I can win with four. And at some point you have to. Like that's been now Ollie. I don't know if you guys read slash listen to Ollie Connolly, but that's one of Ollie Connolly's big thing is like at some point during the playoffs, you got to win with four. Like it doesn't matter.
Yep.
All this in pressure stuff's cool. You got to be able to do that. But when the game's on the line, sometimes you got to win with four and drop guys into coverage. And the Packers couldn't do that. I think if Parsons was here last year, it would have been fairly rote defense. I think it would have been four across the line. We can win with four. We're doing single high. We're rotating to two high on the back end sometimes, and we're just going to play zone coverage. Like that's what we're going to do. He was forced into this in pressure world in a way that he had never done before. Like I watched too many of those games at Boston College when he got hired. Way too many. Like he'd never done stuff like that about the biggest thing stuff he did at Boston College. He shifted from like single high to two high because he had to, and he shifted stuff with the way his linebackers played. But like he never did the sim pressure stuff. So he was forced into that. Now you've got a guy who was forced into that, who now is well, now I've got Micah Parsons. So I've got all this sim pressure stuff in my bag, but now I can win with four if I need to. It's just a delight. Just an absolute delight.
I love talking to people about Micah Parsons because it's just so joyous every time. Like it's just so much fun to talk about because we
It's like
haven't
you ask someone about like their child or their dog or something, they just
right.
light up. Like,
Yeah.
what
It,
about Micah Parsons? Oh, oh.
it's quite akin to asking a kid what they got for Christmas. Like
Kind of.
it's so
It is.
similar.
It is crazy that's spot on. It is just like, oh yeah, I like, and we can't understate. Like, I feel like I don't know. They were really hitting it home on the broadcast on Sunday night, and obviously, so it's like the storyline and stuff like that. But it is just like he is brings a world unto himself, like coming to Green Bay,
Hmm.
and then just like how he's adjusted and kind of just essentially in a holdout, but all the other drama going in. I just feel like he's brought everything to the table without a lot of like the other things lingering on beyond just playing in Dallas most recently.
Well, I'm sure you guys heard about this as well, but when he came on, it was a lot of like I heard from Dallas fans like, well, he's got a podcast. His family's a little loud. Like, brother, brother, you see what Aaron Rodgers did his last like 3 years? Like
Yeah,
he's going on McAfee. Micah Parsons has a podcast where he talks ball. Like you can't hurt
Yeah,
me. Like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's tame. That's
You don't
tame
been
compared to
through the
what
fire,
Yeah,
brother.
you
Yeah.
don't know the hell I've had to deal with these past 4 years, Dallas football fan.
I did not even know Pat McAfee had a show until Aaron Rodgers was a guest. That
And then
is,
I have forgotten that he had it in the time
yeah,
since. Yeah.
Yeah, like all respect to the player. We know that Christian Watson's dad has a Twitter account. Like we are,
His dad, his brother.
yeah.
Like
we
they
are.
can't, and they're free to have their opinions. Like I
Yeah,
think it's cool they're vocal. If I had
agreed.
a son that was in the NFL, brother, I'd be the worst NFL dad you've ever seen in your entire. I can guarantee you that. Guarantee you of that. So be loud, do all that. But like Micah Parsons has a brother that talks. Cool, fine, all right, we got
Right.
one of those.
Who
So like, that's
cares?
fine. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
He
It's like
just, I think the other thing about Parsons that I love, you see these like top paid pass rusher, man.
yeah,
He doesn't take plays off. His
no,
motor's insane. Like
It is.
he's sticking his nose in on run plays. Like the effort that he plays at every single snap is insane to me, and something that like even watching with Dallas, I wasn't quite expecting. I didn't know he was like that. So that was I mean that was something else.
Yeah.
His family can talk. He can have his podcast, whatever. That guy gives 100% every time when he's out there, and he's a monster. That's fine. I'll take it. I'll take the trade off.
I always laugh when we talk about like football players' families because then Jordan always loves Tyson Badgett's dad talking about Caleb
Oh,
Williams
that was
last
the
year.
funniest thing. That was the funny. That was. I don't think it was Caleb Williams. I think it was Justin Fields like a couple years ago because that was the big thing with.
Oh, I think it
It
was.
was the week one. Oh, Jordan Love is taking over for Aaron Rodgers. Bears fans are talking all that talk, and it was just like Tyson Badgett's dad's like, I know how they would have won this game. Like he was just like ready to just unleash his
Oh,
son.
it's
We
so
had
much
what
fun.
remember Odell Beckham's dad like cutting up clips of like Baker
Oh my
Mayfield not
God,
throwing to him.
that's right.
I do
But yeah,
remember
there
that.
was.
He
I was
put that on
listening.
Instagram. It was tremendous.
I was listening to the Ringer, like it was like the fantasy show, and they were talking about like the week that was and stuff like that, and they were talking about Odell Beckham Jr. as like a relic, which is just insane to me because it's like he was he took the league by storm 10 years ago, and
Yep,
now
and
it's like
not
oh
that
yeah,
long ago.
but it is just like yeah that I forgot that he was on the Browns.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his dad was cutting up clips like he didn't throw to my son here. He didn't throw to my son here. He didn't throw to my son
Oh,
here.
I can see you, Dusty, doing like hostile good evening, and it's just the all
yeah.
22 of your son's quarterback missing him in the middle of the
Oh,
field.
brother, we're breaking that down. We are breaking that down.
You're getting QB school, getting JT O'Sullivan as a collab with you guys. You're like, all right, where's all the
500
math?
yards if a guy could catch a ball. I'll tell you that right now. That guy ran the right route. Would have had 500 yards, 6 touchdowns.
Oh, oh, some fun. So, oh, it's just yeah. Cowboys fans can't hurt us. Like it's
No,
Oh,
they,
no, no.
oh, I'm already dead inside. They can't do anything to me.
they may have Jerry Jones, but they have their own drama there. But that's that's not here nor
That's their
there.
problem. We
That's
can
their
deal with
own
that.
problem. I have to go on a tangent. The pregame Sunday night interview with Jerry Jones was batshit.
I missed it. I
Oh,
didn't see it.
I didn't know about it until after people were reacting to it, and I saw the only thing I saw was the maybe this is what you're talking about. It was like the lead in
yeah,
where
yeah.
he's talking. Okay, yeah, he's talking directly to the camera. He's like, "What would you say to Micah Parsons?" And he's like, "It's like what?
It was
What are we
basically
doing
like an
here?"
open letter from Jerry Jones to Micah Parsons,
We
and
talked to him a month ago.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was so weird. I hated it.
I might need to look it up. I watched it at my brother's house on a delay. We watched it outside, and so we just skipped through. I didn't
Yeah,
know not knowing about any of that. I may have to look that up.
it's just weird because like
it's
it's Jerry
very weird.
Jones talking about one of the arguably the worst decisions he's made as a general manager, and
And like the body's not even cold yet. It was a month ago.
I
Like,
know,
this is not
Yeah,
this is not a retrospective.
right,
and they both have the same record,
and
unfortunately.
and they hard cut into Micah Parsons be like, yeah, Jerry never called me, and it makes the whole thing moot.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, the other part of it was they're doing the pre-taped intro, so it's like Micah Parsons, Penn State, yada yada yada, and he has to do it again, and it's just like it was.
Yeah,
I don't
they kept
know.
making him
It
like
was really
say
awkward.
his intro in the Packers jersey for Sunday Night Football. I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, it was just weird.
I need to watch it. I did not catch that. I may need to track
Yeah.
that down.
Um, alrighty, moving on from Micah Parsons into some maybe less fun topics to talk about here. I guess what are some problem areas that have stood out to you over these last two games? If there's problems in the first two, go ahead and talk about them. But is that due like obviously there's some due to injuries, but are you seeing anything like schematically that you're not really a fan of that isn't working, or is it just there's just variance in football that's kind of we're on the low end here?
Yeah, I mean the offensive line's a problem. I think even when everyone was healthy, I mean, I don't know. I guess when everyone's at their healthiest is fine, but like Jenkins has not taken the center in the way that I was gonna hope that Jenkins was gonna take the center, and I was hoping with the bodies up front they were gonna be able to move people in the run game, and like they weren't even when everyone was out there. I guess like that's been a problem. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I look like you
No,
were gonna say something.
I was just gonna ask like I agree that it's been a problem. Do you think it gets better? Because for the most part, they have the bodies there. Like EJ, in theory, should be good, and I have
Yeah.
confidence in Rasheed Walker still. I have confidence in Zach Tom still. Sean Ryan, I reluctantly still have confidence in. I don't know what they're going to do at left guard. I'm not. I'd hate thinking about it, but like these are four guys that were playing on the line last year. Like, in theory, they need time together to be good, but even when they were good the first two games, it didn't look that good.
No, and that's the thing, and that's what concerns me a little bit. I mean, I think hopefully they will get better as the year goes on. I think I've always been lower on Rasheed Walker than everyone else I've ever talked to, and so I was hoping Jordan Morgan was going to steal that job, just if nothing else for like the tackle the future stuff, but also because I feel like Jordan Morgan is roughly at the spot now where Rasheed Walker like was kind of is as far as like skill
Mm,
wise. Technique, what he can give a team, all that stuff. And so I don't love Walker there, but like Ryan, I like Jenkins. Like I said, I like Jenkins was a great left guard. Part of me is like, listen, dude, can we do something? Do we have someone else that can like play a competent center, and we could just bump Jenkins back to left guard and like we can just be done with this? And maybe he'll get better. Jenkins is a smart guy. He had the back injury, he didn't practice a whole lot in the offseason. So like maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe they come out of the bye. But that's been concerning because I mean, I think the thought of this team was going to be we can maul people up front. We could not generate movement last year up front. We could
Right.
not do it. They got a little bigger. They got Banks, Jenkins bumping inside. I think he gave up a little bit of weight to Myers, but like he's better and a better mover than Myers was and all that stuff. And it just hasn't happened. And that's been my biggest concern with that was like you said, even when everyone's healthy, I think they can get better from like a pass pro, from like a chemistry perspective. I do think that will improve. But as far as where they need to get better, which is moving bodies in the run game, I don't I don't see it. I didn't see it in the first game. Unless Banks takes a step, unless Belton becomes full time on the line. I was hoping Belton was going to take that left guard job or right guard, and get a bigger body in there and move some bodies. Like unless something like that happens, I don't think that gets better. In which case, the offensive line is roughly in the same spot it was last year, which is competent and they're fine, but they're not like they want to base so much on the run. If you can't move bodies in the run game, that's a problem, and that's where they were last year. So, I think that's been a concern. I will say on the other side of the ball, like schematically, offensively, like no, like I have issues with. I think how they run some of that stuff. I do think I've mentioned this before. I think they're best. I think they're best suited to be an up tempo 11 personnel team. Not necessarily run and gun, but I do think that's like you can protect the line a little bit of that way. They've got speed. Like they're not going to be that because the floor's never been that. That's an issue I have with them, but that's also not. They're not going to change philosophy midstream. Like that's not going to happen.
yeah.
The defensive side, I mean, I'll say there's not a lot of guys who are going to kill them the way that Dak did. Dak is when he's at his best, he's like the 80% Peyton Manning in terms of like the way he operates, how quickly he can get the ball out, how he can diagnose all that stuff. So if you're playing spot drop zone behind him and you're not getting immediate pressure, like he's gonna kill you, and that's what they did. So my concern is kind of there, and I do think I'm hoping the bye week is a halfly reset in terms of all right, we got Micah Parsons, but just like a lot of stuff I talked about before, the sim pressure stuff, just because we have Micah Parsons doesn't mean we can do this. Doesn't mean we can just sit and spot drop zone. Because even like you got the Bengals coming up. The Bengals with Jake Browning are no great shakes, and that offensive line stinks. So maybe you can just kill him on the line. But if you're not killing him on the line and you're just like Jake Browning has 2.6 seconds to throw the ball and you're playing spot drop zone, eyes on the ball, well, he can pick you apart a little bit as well. Like he's not great, but if you're going to give up, and the thought with that is always like, we believe our pass rush will get to you before you can pick us apart. But also, if you don't, we're going to make you make 12 plays to get down the field. Well, some quarterbacks, not a lot of quarterbacks can do that, but if you're giving it to them the same thing every time, like they can do that. So, how willing is halfway to switch some stuff up if the plan he goes into in a week is not working? They've got the personnel. I think Quay's looked really good. We talked about the D line, we talked about Parsons, Edge Cooper. McKinney's had a couple of really weird moments in this season, but overall he's been good. I think Bullard's played well. I have questions with the corners, but overall, like a decent enough and versatile group on the defense. How willing are they to switch stuff up? Because I don't think, and I will say, like, this is a concern of mine. Based on what we saw from halfway last year, I don't think this is him. I don't think he's going to be like, we're spot dropping zone like, I think that's what he wants to do to some extent. But what he wants to do in his bones is he wants to beat the hell out of you at the line. That's what he wants to do. And so if he has to do that, I think he's got it in him to do that. And you've got two guys on the outside, and Nixon and Valentine, that just they want to beat you up. And when Hobbs is in there, Hobbs also wants to beat you up. So if they want to
Mhm.
do that, they've got the personnel. We just haven't really seen it too much this year. And so how much of this is halfway like feeling the team out, doing the spot drop zone, one eyes on the quarterback? Like I get all that. But when that stuff's not going well, can he switch it up? Can he make those changes? So from on the defensive side, like that, I think that's that along with just CB's got ate up this past week, man. Like that was a concern coming into the season, and it's not a concern if you're getting pressure in 2.3 seconds, but if they have to hold the ball a little longer, that's a concern. So I think those are my big ones that are like I don't know about fatal flaws, but there are ones are like what were the issues that came up in the last two games, and could those be issues down the line? I think some of the answer to that is like no, but like those bigger ones, like yeah, I do think those are going to be issues for them throughout the year, which is I think a problem.
It is the performance from Josh Jacobs this season a Josh Jacobs issue to you, or is it a line issue, or is the
It's
option
a
A,
line issue.
option B?
That's yeah.
I think it's a line issue. He was getting hit so much. His game this past week against the Cowboys, he looked faster than he had his entire time in Green Bay
100%.
when he hit some of the lines. So I mean, I do think he looked a little hesitant in the first couple weeks. I mean, I will say that, but there's also just the holes are muddy. I think he's fine. I think if he didn't do what he did against the Cowboys, maybe I would have been a little concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the moves that he had, some of the speed that he showed, like I think Josh Jacobs is fine. I think it's a line thing. It's muddy, it's not clean, and there's not clear holes to run through, and he's getting contact in the backfield a lot. It's hard. I mean, it's the same thing with last year, right? Like he'd have like a 5 yard gain that should have been a 1 yard loss. Like that was fairly consistent last year. So I think it's a line thing.
Gotcha.
That was so. I really liked how you were talking about from the offensive line because I think it always felt like we would always like the best five, and
Yep.
then previously it was like that means Josh Myers, you're faded out for let's move Zach Tom to center, let's move EJ there, whatever kind of configuration it was. Now that we have that, we're like, oh, it's not you may not necessarily get what you want out of that.
Yeah.
And even like, I mean, we kind of joked about it the other night, but when they were talking about Elton Jenkins, like having to look at Jordan Love between his legs as he's
It's
snapping the ball,
insane.
it was just like, oh, it was just like the Ben Roethlisberger like gif of like, oh, like just kind of like and even I mean I'm not gonna hold it against him, but it was just like that game last year in the rain. It was like a wet,
Yep.
super wet Lambeau
That
against
Lions game.
Detroit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm just like, he doesn't really have the handle that I think a lot of us just like we kind of just like it's a center. They just snap the ball. Like it's a very rudimentary thing. It's like no, it's not like that at all. Like especially with Jacobs, it's so yin and yang where he does his best work up the gut, middle, kind of like he's that kind of he absorbs contact, he bounces off. We saw that the reason why his season looked so good last year is that worked. The first 10, well, first 12 quarters of this year, he was getting bottled up. So when it did work this past Sunday, I was like, okay, maybe this is it. But yeah, I don't know. The offensive line, I think, it's got to be the biggest thing for me just because Banks, it feels like he's been hampered by that back injury
Yeah.
for like from the moment he got to Green Bay, essentially, but not, for no fault of his own. And then it's like the Rasheed Walker effect of it all. Like you mentioned, like Jordan Morgan kind of feels like this person, like an island of like he's not playing the position that they want him to play, and he's looking worse for it. But is that his fault? Like it's kind of like they're trying to solve the the root problem, but they're
Yeah.
creating other problems because of it.
Yeah, the Morgan stuff is so weird to me, and I don't know if that was like a shift in philosophy or something because they always want to cross train their guys. Like that's always been a thing, and
Yes.
they did that with Morgan last year, and he had the injury and all that stuff. Jordan Morgan, big horror movie guy, and so he's a guy like I'm very super rooting for to actually make it. But they're cross training him everywhere, and to your point, like he has not looked particularly good. And I think it was during the offseason they said something like just slightly before preseason, something about like we may have put too much on Jordan's plate. I think it'd be nice to get him settled into a position, something like that, because they drafted Belton and all of Belton stuff. He didn't do anything other than tackle
Right.
in this
Yep.
offseason. So it was like, is that a shift in philosophy? Did they think Morgan could handle it and he can't, and they didn't think Belton could handle it, and so they just gave him like, is that a player thing or is that a shift in O-line philosophy? Because I mean, it does seem like a young guy like that that's struggling, and then you're bouncing him around in multiple spots. I know bodies were thin and like you didn't have a whole lot of options, but you're bouncing around at multiple different spots in a game where
Yeah.
he's struggling at one position. That feels like a man, maybe just try to like stick guy in that position unless you're forced out of it. And then if he needs to move, he needs to move. But if he's struggling in that position, I don't know why you're like, okay, now he's going to play like two other positions this game. Like that feels like you're setting a guy up to fail. And again, maybe that's my bias because I want him to succeed so hard. He's got a horror sleeve leg tattoo. Like,
Yeah.
man, like I need this guy to make it in the league. And it's been rough for him. And I don't know how much of that is just they've been asking so much of him. Like I would love to see him be good, and it just has not taken yet. I'm fingers crossed for him, man.
I think it's a little both. Like he still hasn't played a season's worth of games. Like
Yeah.
True.
he's still just
Yeah.
learning, and he's being thrust into a very important
Well, I think
stuff.
he tried to play last year with that shoulder injury too, and you wonder how much that hampered like mechanics and all that stuff too,
Right.
like just the way he's playing.
Yeah. It's
And I feel like too, like when we hear about first round like offensive linemen struggling, they get passed in favor at their position. I can't really think of a lot of examples of guys that have, if they don't have their, preferred position, so to speak, then getting bounced around and just trying to make it work. Like, is there really a precedent for that?
Well, I mean,
It,
the big one that comes to mind is Becton, who was
oh,
drafted as a
yeah.
tackle
yeah,
and then was just injured a
that's a
whole
good
bunch,
shout.
and then he played with the Eagles last year. But I mean, that's off the tip of my tongue because that just happened, and that's also one of the few times I can remember that like
And it works.
happening successfully. Yeah,
Right.
and I think part of it might just be like we in Green Bay are very spoiled with like, well, they took a fifth round tackle and like he was
And he
tremendous. They
works.
took, I mean, Tom was what fourth or fifth round
Yeah.
pick. Like you've got that scenario. Well, if we got a fourth round guy that's really good, how good would a first round guy be?
Right.
Like I think there's something in that as well, perhaps as well. So
Very interesting.
Uh last question. It's been the talk of social media for Packers fans. It's about Matt LaFleur. I guess what are your thoughts on him as a coach, given in context of like what the last 2 weeks looked like? Like Jordan and I are fans of Matt LaFleur's. We have our gripes with him, but like he's on the whole a positive, a plus plus head coach, right?
mhm.
With how the last 2 weeks have gone, I guess what are your thoughts on him overall on his tenure, and I guess with the thought that like some of the more impassioned Packers fans really
Nice.
can't stand his game management. I guess can you speak to that? And like, what are your thoughts just on him overall?
I really like him overall. I mean, just again, I spend most of my time like a long time ago when I started writing and I was trying to like do a little more like serious stuff. I wanted to focus on like a specific thing. I wanted to be very good at a specific thing. So I chose the passing game because passing the ball is really cool. And so that's what I like wanted to specialize in was like looking at passing game stuff like that. So just looking at the offensive design of the floor, like just on the base level, like how does he run this? How does he change stuff week to week? What does he do with the players? Like where does he put them in position? I think tremendous, like tremendous coach in that respect, from like an offensive mind perspective, from a play calling perspective, from setting that stuff up. From I mean, we are dude, we're like the slightly over a year away from him completely reworking the offense for Malik Willis and then folding all of that stuff back into his existing offense. Like coaches don't do stuff like that very often. And I've seen quite a few people say like, well, he doesn't adjust very well, like he doesn't make a lot of in-game adjustments. First of all, that's wrong. But then also he makes so many game-to-game adjustments. Like the offense does not look the same one week to the next week. Like that's just it functionally, if you're looking at the formations of it, it looks the same, but the stuff they're running, the way they're running it differs from week to week. It's hard to do. And especially with a team that young and all of that, but even with a veteran team, that's tough stuff to do. And I think he's done really good. I mean, if you're taking gripes with him, I think there's a few different things. One of them is hires. He stuck with Barry for too long. I like the Pettin one. Honestly, I didn't hate Pettin. It was just his stuff got a little old. But like again,
I'm
I
with
like
you.
watching Blitz. I like watching Blitz stuff, and Pettin drew up cool blitzes, and that buys a lot of equity with me. It's like he may have been bad, but look at his two cool things he did this past week. The Barry hire was bad, and I think most people thought that was bad when he hired him, and then he stuck with him for too long. Like that was
Yeah.
an issue. That was a McCarthy thing too. Like part of me is just like, is that Packers philosophy? Because that is a like McCarthy was loyal to a fault at times. And I think LaFleur has some of that in him as well.
Harkening back to the Dom
The
Capers age.
it's the Dom Capers age. I mean the Bisaccia one, the hire at the time was like that's defensible because they're coming off Meninga. and then they had Mo Drayton for a year, and Drayton was there for the block punt against the Niners in the playoffs, and that was like his first year. I think where's Mo Drayton now? I think he's coaching at Navy or something, if I'm not mistaken. And so they brought in Bisaccia, who like at best, Bisaccia's best years, if you look at DVOA by special team stuff, is shaky at best because you don't get a whole lot of plays. It's a very very small sample size within a small sample size. His best year, I think he was eighth overall in the league because his special teams unit was eighth. He generally averaged between 14th to 18th. Rich Bisaccia is a guy a lot of people love, but has traditionally, historically been a middle of the road special teams coach. And at the time, that was Mo Drayton and Menenga just gave us like back to back. You're the worst special teams unit in the league. So it was okay. Can we get to competency with Rich Bisaccia? And they did for the most part. Like they still have their headaches. And the fact, like, I don't think anyone would care about Bisaccia that much if he wasn't like the highest paid special teams coach. The fact that he's the highest paid special teams coach and the team's still doing this after like 3 or 4 years, and LaFleur keeps leaning on him. I think this was a problem with Pettin as well. One of the things I think with Pettin that I'm sticking around so much was Pettin had coaching experience. And if
Yep.
LaFleur needed to tend to something else on the sideline, he could turn stuff over to Pettin and Pettin could ride that. And I think that's why he stuck with Pettin longer than he wanted to. I think Bisaccia is the same way. Bisaccia is well loved. He had that interim stuff. He's been around the league a long time. That if he needs to deal with something on the sideline, Bisaccia can do that. I think for me, my main Bisaccia issue is like sorry to go on a Bisaccia right here.
No, that's fine. I have
It's
thoughts too.
I get so mad. Like I don't get mad often. I do not get mad often. There's a like a blind rage that builds inside of me when I see it's like 4th and 2 and LaFleur's conferring with Bisaccia. Like
Yeah,
get that man. Like I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know if they're talking about decision making, but based on what LaFleur has said, I think that's part of it. And so like that's they cut that man out.
yeah.
Just cut that man out. So I think that's, and again, that goes to the higher thing. And I think there's also, I've heard people talk about this in terms of like, well, if he fires him, then he's got these, there's been like 4 special teams coordinators under the floor. Cool.
Who
Then
cares?
make it
Who
4, make it
cares?
5. Fire someone and hire them until you get the right guy. Like, I don't care how long a special teams coordinator is there. Just get the right guy. And so there are times with LaFleur with his hiring, with his loyalty, I think gets him in trouble in terms of like when he needs to move on. I think it is not necessarily there. And then the game management stuff, I think at times he gets too cute with this stuff, man. Like, and he's talked about it in terms of like, we don't, he's thinking too much about this
I
stuff. It's thinking too
totally
much about
agree.
like well, because if we don't get the field goal, we want to get the field goal, or we want to get a touchdown. If we won't get a touchdown, we get the field goal. If we get the field goal, they've got a chance to go down and get the field goal, and then that will win it. So we want to slow play this clock for a little bit, but then we don't want to slow play it. Then we want to go fast once we get to this certain point. And there's a miscommunication there. And then there's also like the speed issue, especially with like a young team like that, as far as you're trying to like build this up, you're trying to do this stuff.
Mhm.
And you're just, instead of just going for it, like as much as I get annoyed hearing about Dan Campbell, like a lot of that Lions mentality, a lot of those teams like that really is just like we're gonna score this touchdown, and if this doesn't work, we will deal with that when that happens.
Right.
But we're going down. If we run down and we miss this touchdown and we kick a field goal with 30 seconds, so be it. We went for the touchdown and we failed, and that stinks, and we will try to do better next time. But like that philosophy of aggression, LaFleur has had that, then he has not had that. I think there's times he gets in his own head. So I don't like that about it. That's what he had I think it was last year. You guys may know better than me. The end of half Dobbs play. He like end of half, he's slow playing it. Love throws a bomb to Dobbs. Dobbs gets a DPI at like the 2 yard line, but they've run the clock out so much at
Oh,
that point. There's 2 seconds left on the clock. So if they
Oh
had like
yeah.
sped this up a little bit, you've got 45 seconds from the 2 yard line to score a touchdown. Instead, they kick a field goal, or I think they maybe go for it and they miss the touchdown on first down there, the 2. Like he has a history of this, and I don't like that about him.
that's the exact situation that happened on Sunday. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep. It's the exact same thing. I think he's in his head too much. There's too much of if we don't do this, then which part of me understands, because if you're trying to plan as a head coach, if you're trying to plan for this stuff and you're saying like, all right, we're trying to plan out these scenarios, if you're just like full go every single time, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going full speed, and then you flame out after 30 seconds and then they throw a touchdown over your head and the game's over,
Right.
like that looks really bad. So you have to plan for this, you have to do some kind of time management. But I do think he needs to push it a little more than he has. I think he gets a little too cute at times, especially now with the defense he has.
Yeah.
You push it, and then if you don't get the touchdown and they've got 30 seconds to score from their 20, fine. They've got
Leave it to
20
your
seconds to score
defense.
from your 20. Leave it to your defense. Like, I think he needs to get better at that. And at this point, like, he's been a little more aggressive on fourth down this year overall, which I liked. Like, that's something he was good at and then he was bad at. And now I think he's fine at again. But the end of game stuff, I think he just thinks about it too much. I think
Yeah.
he's just in his head too much and is trying to plan for every scenario, and you can't. And then they're handicapped, and then something good happens, and oh, we don't have any time left because we were trying to like not give them any time. Like it's been an issue, and that's one of my main issues with him. But overall, I really like him. I think he's a good communicator to a fault. Puts stuff on himself instead of his players at times. Like takes the blame for that stuff, which frustrates me as I'm trying to get stuff out of him and like tell me whose fault it is so we can see that on the field, and then he doesn't do that. It pisses me off. Like
Right.
just tell me whose fault it was. But I think it seems like he's well loved. Like I really like him. He's just a couple like really bad flaws that might just be who he is. Like no one's perfect. That might just be who he is.
I think.
And it,
Go ahead, Jordan.
well, I was just gonna say, like, I think because we're fresh off of it, it's still 3 days of road. It's the image of a second is left. Everybody's like, what? Like, you almost just lost the game.
Yeah.
And Love is like, I'm going to go for it. Like, he's go, go, go. And he turns to LaFleur, and it's kind of similar to like, think of it in like basketball. Like, it's the last possession. The guy with the ball in his hands is probably looking at his coach of like, are we going to run a play here, or is it kind of on me? And with LaFleur, I feel like more times than not, when I saw Love kind of, I think that's probably when it was after the play. Love is coming towards the sidelines. LaFleur meets him. And there was more of like this, like, his facial expression watching was super just like, okay, what did you like? You knew that, like, you could just see him like
Yeah.
reading
Yeah.
that conversation, and it's like you don't want to just be like fire and brimstone, like what the hell are you doing, like that kind of like just like Vince Lombardi, throwback era. But like, I think that's where it gets to like Dan Campbell's always going to be like because the lines are so aggressive, like that is the template that is set. To your point, I think the goalposts will move with LaFleur where based on situations, and it's always that
Yeah.
kind of like math game that he's playing in his head that it's still a very young team. Like these guys aren't naturally going to make this decision because they're going to look to him to make it, and therefore that's where things can get muddled and like you can almost have a calamity on your hands with like a time management situation. So I think that's where you mentioned it's a coach. Like no one is perfect as a coach.
Yeah.
Even the best, like a Vince Lombardi, I'm sure had his had his for like his flaws, but like it all will look better when you win, and when you don't or tie it just naturally just comes out of like that. How it could end, and no one likes to see the warning signs. You know what I mean?
No, that's exactly it. Yeah. Yeah. And that's if you push that a little bit more and you're sitting there with 20 seconds, that's at a six, like then it's like, okay, well, you've got more opportunities. And if you go for it three and you kick the field goal, no one's blaming you for the tie. But the fact that it was so slow played, then it's like, oh, this was
Yes.
on you. Like this was a management issue.
Yeah.
Dusty, talk me off the proverbial ledge when it comes to the cadence of how he calls the game sometimes. Because like there are some I my our listeners know that I talk about this all the time. There are some drives where I do not understand the sequence of play calls.
I think it's the fourth drive. I think it's past like scripted plays where he's like, he kind of cracks his knuckles and he's like, let's go.
And he
There's
wants
stuff.
he wants to do some of the craziest stuff. What in the world was the Savion Williams flea flicker? Like, what are we doing?
They were setting that up.
I
They set that up. They ran two versions of that in the previous 2 weeks. They were looking for that, brother. They
I
were look.
know.
If it wasn't for, I will go to bat for this one because if it wasn't for, I think it was Seward. I can't remember the guy's name. It was a cornerback for the Cowboys, was not paying attention to the play. And he was the guy who was home on the play, or else that goes for a big gain to Wicks on a crosser. He legitimately
Oh,
just didn't know what was happening. And so if that guy flows where he was supposed to flow, that sucker's open. Instead, like he doesn't move because I don't think he's paying attention. And then he inadvertently like
Pulls up
blocks
the
the throwing
play.
window.
Great. Wonderful.
It's like just do what you're supposed to do. Do what you're coached to do. Get out of the way.
But like
But instead he wasn't paying attention.
stuff like that, it just feels like it's it's once a game where they go 3 and out on two like misdirection plays, and then it's 3rd and 10 and they get like 8 yards on a slant over the middle or something like that. Like is that doesn't concern you? Like it doesn't concern me. It is something that like it happens that I just go like
There are
that's my
times
blind rage.
That's fair. We all listen. We all have our
We all have it.
reasons.
Yeah, we all.
We've all got one. What's your trigger? That's your trigger. I mean, there are times that he will just. It's not an entire series, but he's got plays he just burns. That he will just like. We're throwing this out there. It's either to see how they're going to react now, or to set something up for a future game or something. Like a lot of coaches do that, where it's like, we're throwing this out there. We're going to give you the weirdest look you've ever seen. We're going to run this. We may lose 5 yards, and the gain or loss on this specific play doesn't matter. Does not matter in this moment, even the slightest, because it's going to set up something we're working on. That's part of it. I mean, I will say like he's at times conservative to a fault in terms of like when he calls runs, and especially now, when the run game is not working. Part of me understands banging your head into a wall, like if that's philosophically who you want to be. But if it's not working, I want you to stop doing it. Like lean into what works. And I think that's sometimes throughout a game, he will not do that. Sometimes it's still, we want to run our offense. I remember one of the most maddening ones, and then it was like, oh, maybe he knows what he's doing. Was I was there for Packer Saints the couple years ago, their home opener. I went up to that game with Maggie Loney and Perry Goldstein. We went to that game together, and it was whatever 17-0 going into the fourth, and he's still running the ball. It's 2nd and 7. He's running the ball. I'm like, brother, you've got to move. And they end up winning that game. And not definitely some of that was the Saints' failures, but they end up winning that game. And I was like, okay, maybe I will trust a little bit more that he knows what he's doing. But there are times I think he's a little conservative. I think on the whole, I know last year I've not checked the numbers this year. Last year I think they were 11th in the league in terms of like three and outs, in terms of like 11th best. And so like they will have their three and outs. I think my maddening thing with him is like his pace of play is just they are almost always one of the slowest operating teams in the league,
They always have
and
been
they
with
get you.
him. Like even going back to when
Mhm.
Rodgers had it,
Even Rogers, yeah.
they always run
Well,
the
and
play
I thought
clock
it was
down
a
to
Rodgers
zero.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, I thought it was a Rodgers thing, and then it's not. And so they typically get some of the fewest plays off in the league from like the game to game perspective. And then your margins are slimmer. Then you have to be good on the plays that you run. Like you're making it harder on yourself. You're not giving yourself enough room on the margins to win if things aren't quite going your way. And so, I mean, to that point, like, yeah, I think that's an issue as well. But like a lot of his play calling, I don't know if I really have an issue with like his play calling, drive to drive game calling stuff. Sometimes some stuff works, some stuff doesn't. Some stuff you can clearly see like, well, he's burning this. Like he's just trying to see how they react, and like the win or loss on this doesn't matter. He's just trying to figure something out here. Some of it's game script and some of it's not. But I mean, I think overall, I like him as a play caller, even if there are some lulls sometimes. But again, that's part of me is on that's I try to watch teams around the league because that is a I get so bogged down with the Packers, like, oh, they're really good, or oh, they're really bad at this. And you watch other teams in the league, you're like, no, everyone's bad at these things.
Everyone does it. Yeah.
I feel bad because I keep having questions that I just want answers to, and you're giving me so much context, and I appreciate it. So one last question before our last question.
Listen, I'm not my entire household's asleep, brother. You just do whatever you want.
I want to see more routes ran by the guys that can catch the ball. This is a Christian Watson. This is a Matthew Golden. This is a Savion Williams question. Why are they so insistent on running these guys on either plays in the backfield or like bubble screens to get 6 yards? Like we've seen Matthew Golden beat almost every guy he goes against. He can get down the field and get open for big chunk plays, or at least plays beyond 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. Why do you think that the offense is set in a way that they use their fastest guys behind the line of scrimmages as like run plays? Like this is a Christian Watson thing going back to his like rookie year. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's jet sweep city for you, man. It is population you.
Yeah.
Some of it is, I mean, some of it's the guy, some of it's what they want to run. Like they want to have a fast guy in jet stuff. This was an issue, I mean, early the floor stuff, because the only fast guy they had was MVS, and MVS was straight line fast. MVS couldn't turn a corner. He's like a boat turning a corner. So you're either burning MVS, running this jet sweep stuff, and he's running super fast. And so you're like, you're looking for gaps is all you're doing. Like you're trying to create space down the field. So you run the fast guy, and the defense shifts, or they bump, or they widen, or whatever. And then you want to hit them vertically. So you've got them moving, you got them spreading, and then you're hitting those seams in between. Well, the problem is you got MVS as your only fast guy, and then usually that guy ends up, they'll convert those now to like a wheel route or something, but usually that guy camps out in the flat. So now you got MVS, your only fast man in the flat, and then you've got Geronimo Allison running down the field. Well, he's like runs a 4.7. Like, who cares? And so then you'd get like the evolution of it then is you get a guy who only did those things. You get You get Tyler Irvin. I mean, for
Yes.
years, it was just
Yeah.
this
Yep.
is a Tyler Irvin role because that dude didn't do anything but run jet sweeps. That man was exhausted by the end of the game because all he did was run fast underline. That's all he did. But that opened up MVS could run stuff downfield. And so Watson was, I mean, Watson came in, Watson was not necessarily raw, but like he was mainly a run blocker in college. He didn't run a lot of routes. He was a better, I think, route runner than people give him credit for, but he was relatively raw. And so it was, we want to get this guy in the field. How do we get this guy in the field? We need someone to run jet sweeps. Like that's part of our offense. We want to bump. We want to get a lot of the motion stuff. It's either to create those seams downfield or it's also to create angles in the run game. So if we bump this linebacker, then when our tight end comes out and he's kicking him out, he's bumped over a gap, and so we've got that. So they use jet sweep a lot for that. But you can't do that with again. They were running jet sweeps up with Geronimo Allison, and like the linebackers would just stand there because like what do they care? What are they gonna do? Give it to Geronimo Allison? We'll run him down. Like we don't care. So you need someone with speed there. So Watson was that guy because he could do something with the ball in his hands. That was the thing. Like, so then if you're throwing the ball in the flat as your check down, as your fast guy, can he do something with the ball in his hands? Watson could do that. So he was really, really good at that. But then as he gets better as a receiver, you don't necessarily want that. So I like Savion Williams. I don't know if you watched Savion Williams in college.
No.
That man, I don't know if he knows how to catch a ball. Like
Okay.
he is
Okay,
good.
fair.
He is good with the ball in his hands. Like he is very good with the ball in his hands. Big dude, fast, like good creator. He catches like he's trying to stab the ball, like with both hands.
Oh
Like
boy.
Oh,
that's and so he'd have some really cool moments. He'd have some other ones where he's just like punching the ball in the air. And so I think the Williams thing to me was like a we need a fast guy to run jet stuff because that's how we create angles in the run game. That's how we create seams in the passing game. We need a fast guy. We want to burn a fast guy who's not necessarily going to be part of the overall passing offense, but can do something with the ball in his hands. Saban was perfect for that stuff. So you run him on the jet stuff, you run him on the trick stuff. He ran a bunch of wildcat, ran a bunch of fullback stuff in college. I think he took more snaps in the backfield than he was a receiver his last year in college, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But he's a fast guy. He's creative
Yeah.
with the ball in his hands. Let's do that. The other stuff, it's RPO bubble stuff. Like they don't care if they get 6 yards because that's better than getting three in the run game. So you bubble that stuff out, and then you give it to him with the ball in his hands. You got two blockers out in front. You want him to do something with it. But I mean, I think overall, I think the addition of Williams I was excited about it because they got Golden. And I was like, I don't want Golden to be the jet guy. Like,
Right.
I
That
don't want that to
I'm
be his
yes.
role
there
because he
with
can
you.
run
Yeah.
stuff. Well, he can still do it. That's the thing. Like, I think he's fine when he does it if you do it a couple times a game. But having Williams on the field is like, you're our jet guy. That gives Jaden Reed, when healthy, Matthew Golden, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, when healthy. Those guys can be receivers.
Right.
You're our jet man. We don't care what else you do. You're just our jet man. And so I like that in the offense, and I like that they have a guy that can just do that without having to like worry about anything else. The bubble stuff is I understand is maddening. As far as like the way they run, they've changed the way they do their RPO offense to some extent, but they still do lean fairly heavily on the bubble world. That one from this past week, that looms large because of that. But like I listen, dude, I've got a problem. I watched a bunch of Diggs stuff from I watched all of his pass coverage snaps and run snaps from this year leading up to this game. I watched all of the stuff from the Packers game. He never this year, he has never triggered down that hard on anything in the flat. Not a single time, except that one time. Except that one time is the only time he did it. So I think they thought we can beat him here. We've got because you're looking at a numbers game with that. We can beat him here. We can throw that. We got the two blockers. We got Golden. They didn't anticipate him going down and doing that because he had never done it before. And then the very next snap, they switched that on the other side. And we're faking it. We get the exact same look. We're flopping the formation left side of the field. We're doing the exact same thing. We're doing pump and go. And so now we've got Golden's running the flat. We've got the two blockers. We got the little pump, and those guys are going to leak out, and they're running vertical up the seam. They don't break that time, and now no one's open. They hit Bo Melton on one of those against the Niners in the playoffs a couple of years ago.
Hmm.
That no one was open that time, and then he hits the check down, and then it all goes to hell because he wasn't supposed to hit the check down. But like that was one of those like the bubble stuff I'm fine with because that's very much a that's not a called pass play. That's a tag on the end of a run play, and whether you're looking for 4 yards where you would have gotten two on a run. Like
Right.
you're not, it's not a high threshold for success there. So I'm typically fine with that. And then this past game, it came out at the worst possible time that Diggs had the one play he triggered down hard on in that situation, all like legitimately all season, and then did not do it when they're looking at a shot over their head on the very next play. So it was a bad look. It was a bad look this past week, but generally I'm fine with it. I mean, a lot of what they want to do, which I am from a philosophy standpoint, I'm fine with. Get the ball in your fast hands to the players of your fast players close to the line. Get it to them quickly. If they're creative, they get the ball in their hands. Let them be creative with the ball in their hands in space with blockers out in front. From a philosophy standpoint, that's cool because sometimes good things will happen, but sometimes bad things will happen too. And that play too, like the Cowboys were all like muddled around.
They
They're all
were.
like they
Yeah.
weren't even set, which I think is why Diggs triggered so hard because they're just like, oh, movement, and then he just ran. Like he was not looking at the line when they snapped that ball. It was just that was bad luck, man. That there's nothing that pisses me off quite so much as like there's a beautiful play, there's a beautiful setup, and then it gets ruined sometimes just because the defense is dumb and is not
The
paying attention. Like
outlier
that. Oh my
decision.
gosh.
And for you, it happened twice last game with the two.
Oh my gosh, back to back. Oh, it pissed me off so bad, man. Oh my gosh, I'm so mad.
All right, Jordan, do you have anything else for Dusty?
No, this is amazing. This is
Yeah.
truly amazing.
Alrighty, folks. Thank you for listening, Dusty. Thank you for spending an hour and a half of your Wednesday evening with us.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I
Yeah, thank you.
no, I
No,
really
no,
appreciate it.
no.
We're having a blast. So, uh, Dusty, tell the folks where people can find you.
Yeah, I'm over at Blue Sky at Dusty Evely writing at Acme Packing Company. So find me that I think I've had two pieces up this week. I know a lot of people don't like to read stuff after a loss or a tie. So maybe you won't want to read anything I've written this week, but I've got two up at Acme Packing Company now. And I generally will post whenever I've got something up. So follow me there. Follow me on Blue Sky and or Twitter, and I'll shout about what I'm writing.
And he'll tell you good morning, good afternoon, and good night every time he posts
That's right.
a wonderful video of Jordan Love throwing the ball.
Yeah, I think I got to schedule mine. I've got a scheduler set up for those, so I don't have to
Oh
wake up
yeah.
every morning and do that. So
Yeah.
I think I've got one of Dobbs' touchdowns set up for tomorrow. I can't remember what I've got set up, but
Oh, I'm
it's a good one.
looking forward to it. So, alrighty, folks, thank you for listening. We'll be back in your podcast feeds next week as we preview the Bengals game and hand out some cheeses from the Cowboys game. Go check out all things GSPN over at gspn.info. Buck stuff as they ramp up their preseason with Ty and Rohan on Eurostep, and if I'm not mistaken, Cruising for a Bruising with Adam and Andrew as a preview of the playoff, the NLDS coming up this weekend. But for all things GSPN, like I said, gspn.info. Dusty, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. And
Thank you so much.
Jordan, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.